Are you feeling a shift within? A call to something greater? In the New Age, the spiritual awakening trend is everywhere. But what does it really mean? In this episode, let's break down the stages spiritual awakening. Also, we'll be providing a practical guide for your own self-discovery. You have the power to unlock your true potential and live a life filled with purpose and joy. This journey of spiritual awakening can guide you through the process, and it starts with understanding the stages. Maybe your old beliefs no longer fit, or the world just doesn't feel the same anymore. This might be the beginning of your spiritual awakening. It often begins with a quiet whisper, or sometimes a loud crisis, a breakup, a loss, an existential question. You feel like something's missing, but can't name what. You begin to crave something deeper than what the material world offers. This is the soul knocking, and your journey begins. This is often called the dark night of the soul. It's a phase where old patterns collapse. What once felt certain, your job, relationships, beliefs, starts to dissolve. Confusion, anxiety, and even loneliness are common. But remember, this is not the end. It's a sacred dismantling, a clearing of the old so the truth can emerge. Suddenly, glimpses of clarity shine through. You start seeing the world with new eyes. You realize you are not your thoughts. You are not your pain. You are something more. Synchronicities increase. You feel connected to everything, and yet more you than ever. This is the moment your consciousness begins to expand. With new awareness comes responsibility. This is the deep dive. You begin healing old wounds, unlearning limiting beliefs, and nurturing your soul. Shadow work, meditation, journaling. You may feel raw, but also more alive than ever before. This is the heart of transformation. Awakening isn't about escaping life. It's about returning to it with awareness. You learn to ground your higher consciousness into everyday reality. You set new boundaries, find new purpose, and live more authentically. Spirituality becomes less of a concept and more of a way of being. You are both human and divine, and you're learning to walk with both feet in both worlds. Eventually, your journey turns outward. You feel called to help, to guide, to serve in your own way, whether through art, teaching, healing, or simply being present. You become a vessel for love, truth, and awareness. And the cycle continues. Every end is a new beginning. Spiritual awakening is not linear. You may revisit stages, spiral deeper, or pause altogether. There is no right way, only your way. So be patient with yourself. Be curious, be kind. This path is sacred, and you are exactly where you need to be. Okay, now let's dive deep into the stages, starting with the initial spark. Have you felt a sudden shift in your life? Like something inside you just clicked, or things just ain't the same? Maybe it came quietly, while staring at the stars, reading a book, or sitting in silence. Or maybe it struck you like lightning, after heartbreak, a near-death experience, or a moment of deep despair. This is the awakening. It's the first spark. The moment your soul begins to stir from its slumber, you start questioning everything. Who am I? Really? Why am I here? Is there more to life than what I've been told? Things that once felt important start to lose meaning. And things you never noticed, nature, dreams, synchronicities, suddenly feel alive with purpose. It's like a veil begins to lift. And for the first time, you sense there's something deeper behind the surface of things. This stage is both beautiful and disorienting, but it's also sacred, because it marks the beginning of your true spiritual path. This is not just a phase, it's a soul remembering. So what actually sparks an awakening? It's different for everyone, but often it begins with a rupture, something that shakes your foundation and opens a space for deeper truth to emerge. Here are some common triggers: loss or grief, the death of a loved one, a breakup, the collapse of a job or identity. These moments strip away illusions and force us to confront what really matters. Trauma or crisis, serious illness, a near-death experience, or emotional breakdowns can break the ego's grip and awaken something more profound within you. Existential dread, that quiet moment when success, routine, or normal life no longer satisfies. You begin to wonder, is this all there is? A sudden moment of awe, a breathtaking sunset, a powerful dream, a deep meditation. Sometimes, awakening happens in a single moment of unity when you feel connected to something far greater than yourself. Spiritual encounters, meeting a teacher, reading a life-changing book, or experiencing synchronicities that are too meaningful to ignore. These triggers are like cracks in the surface of the self, and through those cracks, the light begins to pour in. After that first spark of awakening, many expect clarity and peace, but what often follows is confusion. You might feel like your world is upside down. Things you once believed no longer make sense. Old routines feel empty, relationships feel different, and you begin to ask, am I going crazy or waking up? Doubt creeps in. You question your sanity, your choices, even your spiritual path. This is normal. It's part of the ego unraveling. The identity you once clung to is dissolving, making room for something more authentic to emerge. But alongside the doubt, something else begins to grow: curiosity. You start seeking, reading, listening, watching. You become drawn to signs, symbols, spiritual teachings, even the mysteries of life itself. This phase can feel like standing between two worlds, the one you're leaving behind and the one you're not yet sure how to live in. But here's the truth: confusion is not a failure. It's a sign that you're breaking through the illusions that once kept you asleep. Be gentle with yourself. You're not lost. You're in the in-between, the sacred chaos before the inner alignment. Now we dive in deep. The next stage, the exploration. Once you've been shaken awake, you begin to explore. This is the phase where curiosity turns into a quest. You start diving into spiritual teachings, ancient wisdom, metaphysics, psychology, even quantum physics. You're trying to make sense of this new awareness and how it fits into the bigger picture of life. You might ask, what is consciousness? What is the soul? What happens after death? Why am I here? You may feel drawn to books you never noticed before, or encounter teachers, synchronicities, or ideas that feel strangely familiar, like remembering something your soul already knew. And with this expansion comes a gentle unraveling. You begin to question old beliefs, religious, cultural, even personal. Do I really believe this? Or was it just something I inherited? This process can feel liberating and unsettling, because you're not just learning new truths, you're letting go of inherited limitations. This is a time of deep self-discovery, a sacred curiosity awakening in you. And the more questions you ask, the more your awareness grows. As your awareness expands, so does your hunger for understanding. You begin actively seeking knowledge, not just answers, but wisdom. You explore sacred texts, from the Bhagavad Gita to the Tao Te Ching, from mystical Christianity to indigenous teachings, Buddhism, astrology, and esoteric philosophy, each one offering a different lens to view the same deeper truth. You listen to spiritual teachers, philosophers, and even modern mystics. Sometimes the words of a stranger feel like they were meant just for you. You're not looking for dogma, you're looking for resonance, truth that feels alive inside you. And guidance doesn't always come from books or gurus. It can come in a dream, a song lyric, a conversation with a child, or a moment of silence where something just clicks. You begin to realize the universe speaks in many voices, and the greatest teacher is the one that leads you back to yourself. This stage is about building your spiritual language, piecing together what feels true from across time, cultures, and inner knowing. You're not adopting beliefs, you're awakening your own. Now we shift into the profound stage of surrender. This is a pivotal stage where you begin to release control and allow transformation to unfold. Now you can start to see the magic unravel. Eventually, the path brings you to a quiet but powerful truth. You can't awaken by force. You have to surrender. This is where you begin letting go of the old stories, the habits, identities, and beliefs that no longer serve your highest self. It's not always easy. Letting go means stepping into the unknown. It means releasing control, comfort, and sometimes even people. But in surrender, there's a deeper freedom, like a river flowing effortlessly after years of resistance. You stop fighting change and start trusting it. You learn to follow your intuition, even when it doesn't make logical sense. You accept uncertainty as part of the process, and in that space of surrender, something new begins to take root. Clarity. Peace. Alignment. Not because you figured everything out, but because you stopped trying to force your awakening and began allowing it to unfold. This is the sacred art of surrender, the space where transformation becomes natural, not effortful. When you surrender, you're not just letting go of old patterns. You're stepping into something far more mysterious, the unknown. This is the space where the ego gets quiet and the soul begins to lead. But here's the truth. This stage can feel like walking through fog with no map. You might not know where you're going, You might feel lost, untethered, even afraid. And yet, this is where the deepest magic happens. The universe begins to guide you in subtle, often invisible ways, through intuition, through synchronicities, through doors closing, and better ones opening. But to receive that guidance, you must trust the process. Trust that even when nothing makes sense, something beautiful is unfolding. Trust that your soul knows the way, even when your mind does not. Spiritual awakening isn't about always feeling certain. It's about learning to move forward anyway, rooted not in answers but in faith. This is where surrender becomes devotion, not to an outside force, but to the intelligence of life itself. Because the unknown is not your enemy. It's the space where your soul has room to grow. Within the stage of surrender, you'll encounter a call to action phase which is focused in letting go. This is a powerful moment in the journey. Letting go of control and embracing vulnerability is often where the real inner growth begins. Letting go sounds beautiful in theory, but in practice, it's one of the hardest things we'll ever do. We're conditioned to control everything: our schedules, our image, our emotions, even our spiritual path. But awakening asks us to drop the illusion of control. And that's terrifying, because underneath control is fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being wrong, fear of being seen fully as you are. And so, to truly awaken, you must become vulnerable. That means admitting you don't have all the answers, sitting with discomfort instead of avoiding it, feeling your feelings without judgment or suppression. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the doorway to authentic power. When you stop pretending, stop performing, stop protecting your ego, that's when real transformation begins. You open yourself to connection, to truth, to grace. So if you're trembling as you let go, good. That means you're doing the work. Because real awakening doesn't come from staying strong. It comes from finally allowing yourself to be soft. Now we enter the phase of integration, the stage where awakening becomes lived experience. This is where the inner work begins to ripple outward into your everyday life. Spiritual awakening isn't just about peak experiences or cosmic downloads. It's about how you live, moment by moment. Integration is where all the insight, healing, and transformation becomes real, not in theory, but in practice. You begin asking, how do I bring this awareness into my relationships? How do I make choices that reflect my values? How do I live in alignment with honesty, compassion, and presence? It might look like setting boundaries where you once people-pleased, choosing inner peace over reaction, listening to your intuition more than your fear, finding stillness in the chaos of everyday life. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being conscious. Every moment becomes an invitation. Can I respond from love, not fear? You're not escaping the world. You're re-entering it as a new version of yourself. Rooted, aware, aligned. Integration is where the sacred meets the ordinary, where spirituality is no longer separate, it is your life. This stage invites us to deepening our connection, both inwardly with the self and outwardly with the universe, as a natural evolution of integration. As you integrate your awakening, something beautiful unfolds. A deepening connection, not just with yourself, but with the entire universe. You start to recognize that the boundaries between you and everything else are more fluid than you thought. Your inner world and the outer world begin to dance in harmony. This connection feels like a quiet knowing that you are part of a greater whole. Moments of awe when nature, music, or silence touch your soul. An intuitive sense that you are never truly alone. You begin to trust the flow of life. You listen to your inner guidance with more clarity. You feel a sense of belonging, both to yourself and to something infinitely larger. This is the heart of spiritual awakening. Not just finding answers, but feeling your place in the vast, mysterious web of existence. Here, every breath becomes a prayer, every step, a meditation, and every moment, an opportunity to deepen your connection to life itself. Now comes what I would like to call the graduation stage, also known as enlightenment. As the journey deepens, some experience moments, or even lasting states, of enlightenment. This is a profound peace beyond understanding, a unity where the sense of separation dissolves. You realize you are not just a separate self, you are part of the whole, a living expression of the universe itself. It's like merging into an ocean of stillness and love. Time slows, boundaries fade. There is only presence, pure, radiant presence. Enlightenment isn't about perfection or escaping life's challenges. It's about embracing everything with an open heart, the joys, the pains, the mysteries. In this state, there is a freedom so deep it can't be described, only experienced. And while it may feel rare or distant at times, every step you take on your awakening path brings you closer to this sacred unity. One of the most beautiful and sometimes challenging truths about spiritual awakening is this: it never truly ends. Awakening is not a final destination or a checklist to complete. It's an ever-unfolding journey. Just when you think you've reached a new level of understanding or peace, life invites you deeper. New layers arise, new challenges appear, and your consciousness expands further. Sometimes the path feels smooth and radiant. Other times it feels like walking through shadows. Both are part of the process. Each moment, each breath, is an invitation to awaken more fully. To remember who you really are beyond the mind, the roles, and the stories. So wherever you are on this path, know this: you are exactly where you need to be. And the journey itself is the destination. Keep embracing the mystery. Keep trusting the process. Keep awakening. Now, before we finalize this episode, let's reflect upon a quote from Gustav Jung. He once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is a profound key to understanding the real nature of spiritual awakening. This speaks to a truth many seekers overlook. Enlightenment is not about bypassing pain or only chasing bliss. It's about turning inward, facing the parts of ourselves we've hidden, denied, or rejected. The fears, the traumas, the ego patterns, the shadow. Jung reminds us that true awakening comes not from pretending to be light, but by bringing light into the dark. By sitting with our wounds instead of running from them. By asking, what is this teaching me? What am I being asked to see and to heal? Only when we integrate the shadow do we become whole. And in that wholeness, light naturally shines. So no, the path to enlightenment isn't all peace and radiance. It's messy, raw, human, but that's the sacred alchemy. Because it's in the darkness that we discover our true light. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the stages of spiritual awakening. Remember, your journey is unique, sacred, and evolving. And every step you take is a step toward greater peace, truth, and freedom. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss this soul content on spiritual growth and awakening. I'd love to hear from you. What stage are you in right now? Or what was the biggest spark that started your awakening? Drop a comment below and let's support each other on this path. Until next time, keep shining your light, keep opening your heart, and keep awakening. Peace and blessings, Universal Consciousness signing out.